Well, I'd like you to state your name and your rank.
Wallace Croxton. Wallace Croxton. And what?
What's your rank?
Rank?
Yes.
I'm just here at the home. I don't have any special rank.
Well, when you served, what was your rank?
I was an acting sergeant.
Okay.
And if I'd stayed in a little longer, I'd probably been a staff sergeant, the man said. But my name was up for points. That's when they was turning you loose on when you get enough points. Maybe you don't even know about that. I don't know.
Is that for stripes?
You do, I'm sure.
A little bit, yeah.
You've been around a while.
A little bit, yeah.
But anyway, I had enough points to get out, and so I didn't get any rank. But if I'd stayed in a little longer, they said I would.
Okay. So you served, it looks like, for 3 years. That was towards like the end of World War II. How was that for you?
Are you asking me a question, or
Yes.
what's the question?
How was it serving in the war for you? I see that
I was in the quartermaster supply.
Okay, and tell me a little bit about that.
Well, when I was in college. I'll start right at the beginning. I was just ready to graduate from college, and the draft board told me my number was up. And I said, well, I'm in school here, getting ready to graduate from the Western College. And they said, well, that's important too. We'll let you graduate. And just as soon as I graduated, I went to St. Louis and joined the military. And they put me in the quartermaster supply of the U.S. Army. And my job was to help get food rations and clothing rations and ammunition and everything to the people in the front lines. And we would ride in a big Army 6x6 truck and take the supplies. And I was supposed to see that they got there and see that nobody stopped us, guards or MPs or anybody along the line, because they did have to have that stuff. And then all of a sudden the war ended. So I stopped right there.
And what were some of the locations that you served in?
I was in Hawaiian Islands, New Guinea, and the Philippines, and Japan. And when the war ended, I was in Japan.
In Japan.
And they were our friends by that time, the time the war ended.
That's good. Let's see, what else? Was there any large conflict with you being in and out of the service?
Where, what?
Was there any, large conflict with you being in or out of the service?
No, everything worked fine.
That's good. Let's see what else we have here. What were some of the awards or things that you got? I know earlier you were talking about the points and all of that.
Awards, you saying?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I got the good sharpshooter's medal and the good conduct medal and overseas medal, and that's about the size of it again.
What's the sharpshooter's medal?
What?
What's the sharpshooter's medal?
Well, you had to be pretty good with a rifle.
Oh, that makes sense.
I mean, somebody was quite a little ways away. If I missed them a couple of 3 feet when I shot, why, I wouldn't get no medal for that. And if I hit them right between the eyes, why, they'd say I was a sharpshooter.
Well, that's good. I know earlier you and Steve were talking about stripes, and what specifically would you get stripes for?
Stripes?
Yes.
Well, if you're going to be a sergeant, you got 3 stripes. You're going to be a staff sergeant, you got half circle goes on the bottom of it or top of it or something. Can't even be sure. And if you're the first sergeant, you had 3 stripes up and 3 down and a stripe in the middle. And that's what I always thought I wanted to be, as a first sergeant. Of course, they had to take several officers ahead of them, and they had to please all those guys.
The stripes tell you who to salute.
Huh?
The stripes tell you who to salute.
Yeah. Now, that means that you see somebody coming, well, you want to get ready to salute, and even if they're buck private. But of course, you don't have to salute him, but it don't cost you nothing to salute.
That's free.
It says also whenever you went over, I guess, to New Guinea and the Philippines, that they were the civilians were glad that there was American soldiers there. Could you tell me a little more about that?
Yes, they'd been Japanese around them all the time, and none of them was friends, and they was glad to see somebody come along that was friends to them, bring them food and stuff that they liked, and that sort of thing, even clothing. And I remember cigarettes. They didn't get much of a ration of cigarettes, and I didn't smoke cigarettes. And I'd give one of them a carton of cigarettes, and my guys, I was their friend for life. That's right.
Well, cigarettes or whatever rations, that was just like having money, too. You could use that to make a trade or barter or something.
Yeah, they even paid to get the cigarettes. And they was legally had the allowance of cigarettes, and so I remember there was a fellow giving me good money for a carton of cigarettes. I wouldn't give you a dime for all of them. I never bought a cigarette in my life.
That's probably good you didn't.
Yeah, never smoked a cigarette. Oh, I probably smoked one when I was a kid, maybe. There's an ambulance out there, just driving away. With that fella they loaded up, I suppose.
We were in here. We didn't see what we saw. That we didn't see what
the fella fell out of his chair,
Oh.
and I don't know whether it hurt him when he hit the floor, or that's the reason he fell out of his chair.
Oh.
I figured maybe he fell out of his chair because something was wrong. Because I noticed as soon as he fell out, why they started gathering around there, getting in the way and everything.
Well, I hope he's all right.
I do too, but. I don't have anything to say about it because anybody tell me anything.
Nobody told us anything. But we were right in the middle of our interview, and you saw that, the lights came on out there.
Oh, I didn't realize that you just came ahead of that. But anyway, he laid on the floor there quite a little while, and they was afraid to move him for a while.
Did you know the person?
Well, he's eating at the same table I have, and I can't tell you his name, but I've seen him before, I'll say that, yeah.
Okay.
I've been here about 3 years myself.
Is that right?
3 years myself.
Okay. I saw that. What were you going to say?
Where were you at before you came here?
Before I came here?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was in college at Macomb.
Oh, so you just recently finished?
Yeah, they've got a Western University there, Western.
Yep. What did you study when you went to Western?
Oh, I had a major and 2 minors. One of my minors was biology, and my major was in the field of agriculture, because that's what I'd done all my life. She's going to go to sleep on you there if you don't poke her once in a while.
She's all worn out. She just finished the interview, and now she's starting to pass out on it.
Now, what do you want to know?
I don't know. You said that's why you chose, you said the field of agriculture, correct? Is the degree you chose?
What about it, though?
That's the degree you chose, the field of agriculture.
Well, I was a farmer all my life.
Oh, okay.
When my draft notice came along, so I was pretty apt to go into something that pertained to agriculture, and that's the reason I joined the quartermaster supply, because that's right directly in line with agriculture too. And it has to do with food and food services.
Find out about GI Bill.
Oh, did you get any benefits of the GI Bill, or
Did I what?
Did you take money? The GI Bill? Did you?
Somehow or another, that didn't come across at the right time or something,
Oh.
and that wasn't available. They never offered it to me.
Okay.
When I got out, and then somebody said something about it later on, and they said by that time they didn't think I qualified or something.
I've never
After
heard
being
of that.
out a while.
Most people that have ever been in, I thought had qualified, but I didn't know they had changed the rules. Or
Well, I didn't get any benefits. They might have given me a little money when it came out, but not enough to make me very rich.
Well, I know that they would provide college, they'd pay college expenses.
But I had already finished college, see.
Oh, so you didn't.
Finished. when the Army was interested in them.
Yeah.
I'd already graduated, had my diploma.
Oh, okay. That's what else you got? You got some other?
Well, okay, so whenever you left and went to Western, did you have any like family or relatives around you at all?
Have what?
Family?
No, Macomb's quite a little ways away from my home. No, I was by myself there, yeah.
So you never married or had any children?
What?
Did you have any children, or were you ever married?
No, I don't have any children now, even.
Okay.
Just my wife, so.
Oh, you are married?
Yeah, I've been married for 60-some years.
67 years, that's amazing.
60-some, about 62, I think. Yeah.
That's exciting.
Let me find it. Does your wife live here?
Huh?
Does your wife live?
Yes, she's in Wesley Village in Macomb.
On Macomb.
She had a chance to get an apartment there, and she needed to be under a doctor's care on account of something the matter. She had cancer in her leg several years ago, and that's never got completely well somewhere or another. She has a problem with her leg that doesn't want to heal, and the doctor says that's on account of that cancer, and so she's staying close to that doctor. But like I say, she ended up renting an apartment just so she'd be there rather than have to go to the doctor every day, 40, 50 miles or something, 60.
Okay.
Whenever you got drafted into the service, how did your family and friends react to that?
They just figured there was something that they're pretty sure it was coming. At that time, you had to really. Now, my brother was just a little older than I am. They didn't draft him because he wasn't in the right stage as far as farming is concerned, or something. But they got me right next to him, and he got completely by. Didn't even have to go to the draft board or nothing.
How about your parents? Were they worried about you going?
I doubt if they was too worried about me. I'd already been away to college for 4 years, and they figured I could take care of myself. If I had to go to the Army, why, that's just all. And the war wasn't over yet. I mean, so we didn't know what the Japs was going to go ahead and fight for another. They hate to give up, but they're still cowards, though. But that's the way it worked out. The family didn't worry too much about me, I don't think.
Now, I got to ask you a question. When you say cowards, how did everybody feel about it? Why would you say that? What makes you?
Well, if you didn't, your draft number was up, and you didn't go ahead and go along with it, well, they'd say you was a coward or a draft dodger. They called it draft dodgers then. If you fought it at least a little bit. Well, they'd say use the draft dodger, and I thought, well, if they want me, here I am, come and get me. And
now, most people would just. My dad told me most people would just. They wanted to join. They wanted to join the war effort.
Well, yeah, I figured there'd be enough helpers there. I'd be on my side that wouldn't have to worry about it too much.
Yeah.
But I didn't give anybody any trouble when they said looked like I was going to be drafted. I said, well, if they want me, they know where I am. Send me a notice. I got a mailbox. Send me a notice.
Show up for a physical, or what would the notice say? Was that?
I got to the place where I had been accepted to be in, and I was in the military a while. But the draft, that the fact that I had joined ahead. Why?
Oh, you got to choose where you could go because you joined.
Yeah.
If you drafted, you don't get a choice, do you?
No, that's right, and that's the reason I ended up in Hawaiian Islands rather than some dungeon off down south where it's real hot and where they got mosquitoes and elephantitis, jungle rot, and all kinds of disease way down in New Guinea.
Yeah.
And I was lucky to get through there without getting any, but I never even got malaria out of the deal. you get malaria, your skin turns about the color of your trousers, yellow, kind of yellow.
That's from mosquitoes.
Huh?
Malaria is caused from mosquitoes.
Well, that and everything else in the jungles. But you get a kind of a yellow look about you. And I never even got that.
I think your eyes get kind of yellow and jaundiced too.
I was pretty healthy at the time, and it seemed like I was able to shake that all off.
Oh. That's a rough one. Malaria.
Huh?
Malaria is a tough.
Oh yeah, you bet. But we had big containers set on the tripod out in the front of where we slept, and big canvas bags that had liquid in there, and that was stuff that you was supposed to drink, and it had aspirin in it, and that's supposed to fight malaria.
Okay.
That's right.
Wow. Does that make you think of any other questions?
Well, what was one of your most memorable moments in the service?
What did you say now?
I said, what was one of your most memorable moments in the service?
Oh, being in Hawaiian Island, Hawaiian Islands, and seeing pineapple grow right out in big fields, and the people that owned the pineapple said, "We don't care if you pick a pineapple, just don't waste it. Don't pick one, take a bite out of it, and then throw it out in the field. Pass it around with your friends or something, but just don't waste it." And the same thing with bananas. I saw bananas, and they hang on trees, you know.
Right.
And he says, if you want a banana, take one, but don't destroy a whole bunch just because you want one. And that always impressed me.
Do you have anything?
Well, yeah, I got a couple. Did you have? There was something in the service called the buddy system. Did you ever hear about that? The buddy system.
What?
Sometimes the buddy system. Sometimes somebody would join, and their buddy would join with them.
Yeah.
And they could go serve together in the same group, same platoon or something like that.
No, I never had nothing like that. There's nobody going in same time I did. Only the ones that went in when I did went in the infantry because they didn't sign up. They let them draft them, and I figured ahead of time that I didn't want that. Mm-hmm. I seen what the infantry guys do. They walk down the dusty highway when everybody else rides in vehicles. And I thought, well, I might as well ride as walk. That's the way it was.
Let me ask you a couple of questions about
Okay.
Now. After the war was over, after World War II was over,
Yeah.
How did you feel about war? Did you have when you think back about it?
Well, I'd seen enough of the Japanese planes flying over where we was down in New Guinea in the night. They'd fly around in the night, and you could tell the Japanese planes that they always had a special sound to them. Kind of the drone, kind of the single motor outfit, and then they would.
You knew they were on the way. You could hear them.
We'd already been fighting them, and they were still hunting an enemy if they could find them. And of course, we didn't aim to keep very well lit up. Then no, part of the time when I was in, why you wasn't even supposed to have a light on your vehicle or even light a cigarette, because they claimed that they had to give away your location if there's very many of you with a vehicle. If you traveled in I can't even think what they called it now, in convoy, why there'd be several of you and a lot of lights. Well, the sergeant would always say, turn your lights out. They don't want the Japanese to spotting you moving somewhere, you know. And so we kind of outsmarted them, I guess, is what it amounted to. I probably had a little more equipment to work with, and a little more money maybe.
Well, I got to ask you. Can I ask another question? Mm-hmm. Can you remember the funniest?
The what?
The funniest story or the most humorous story you ever had during the war? Because sometimes funny things happened.
And nothing very funny about the war I was in.
Didn't have anything humorous happen? Or?
No, I can't think of what it would be.
Sometimes we get interviews and somebody will say, "Oh, I remember this one time."
Well, I can think of one. One time, and the war was getting pretty well over, but we still had enemy. Yeah. But these were civilians in the Philippines, and a couple of my buddies and I had been there. They'd invite us there for supper, and we had fried chicken. I remember that just as well as though it was yesterday. And they also had Bassa and Nipa wine that they said they made off whatever they grew right on that farm there. And I never drank over that much of a glass out of one of those drinks. And when we was walking home, across kind of a little pasture like, I fell flat on my face. And I thought, well, what in the world's happened to me? And I had a little trouble getting back on my feet. And I decided it was what I had to drink. And I haven't drank nothing since.
That was it. That was your lesson right there.
I didn't figure I wanted to fall over. I figured I couldn't handle very much of it. Is what I figured.
Wow. What do you think when you watch television now, or you hear about wars that go on now? What's it like now that's different than it was? How's it different now?
Well, being as it's
Does it bother you, or does
being as it's peacetime, why everybody's forgot about the conflict part of the thing. And I said, Japanese are more or less our friends now. We're doing business with them.
And there's no draft.
No draft.
It's all volunteer army.
And there for a while, it looked like there'd be a draft, continue. But like you say, if you want to go in the army, well, go. And if you don't, well, stay home.
Yeah. So do you ever have conversations with friends here about how involved we are with other countries? After, some people think that we get...
most everybody got a different opinion about that.
They sure do.
Some of them didn't even approve of the war, didn't approve of me even going. Or when I volunteered, they thought I was foolish for volunteering. They thought maybe I might be able to sneak out of it or something. Or, like I said a little while ago, avoid the draft.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, if the Army wants me, why, I'm just at the right age for it, I guess, and so away I go. Mm-hmm. I never tried to get out of it.
And my dad said most people, and my dad was riding on a bus with his friend, and he heard Roosevelt, I think that's when it was, saying that we were, Pearl Harbor had been bombed.
Yeah.
And I think that was right when he and his friends, they decided the next day they were going to go down and join the Army.
Uh-huh.
Actually, he got in the Navy.
Yeah.
But do you remember that? Was it like that on the radio? Did you hear FDR say that on the radio?
Oh, yeah.
What was that feeling like when you heard that? Must have been a...
Well, what did he say? He didn't say a great lot, but what he said was stuff that you remember.
He said we were brutally attacked.
Yeah.
By the
we
Empire
shall not
of
be
Japan.
attacked
Uh-huh.
by any nation, and he always talked loud. And,
had those fireside chats.
Yeah, fireside chats. Yeah.
Uh-huh. So and my mom, also lived through that, and women had a different job to do stateside.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? Women worked in ammunition plants. And remember that whole time when women were part of the war? Everybody was part of the war.
Yeah, women were wearing overalls and working in jobs that men had been doing.
It was a whole new thing for women.
The reason for that was so many of the men was in the military at that time. Yep. Somebody had to do it, as they say.
Yeah.
Somebody had to do it.
Now, what about... They weren't food stamps, but they had sugar stamps, and they had different. Remember the food rationing stamps they had? Tell these girls about that.
Well, if your pickup needed a new tire, you had to wait in line. I mean, if you had a tire bad on your pickup or a car,
you couldn't buy something
sit there and until the rationing board decided you was entitled to a tire.
Right.
And if they thought you were going to put it on your vehicle just so you could go to the movies or something, well, you was out of luck. And they thought, well, he don't need that tire. I'll give it to somebody that's doing business, working in a factory or something.
That's when they had the United States Army and Armed Services started using all the metal and all the different things. So they would ration food or everything.
And
so it was
rubber seemed to me like rubber for tires
rubber
for your car. That stuff, the government had #1 say for it, and if there's anything available, they got it. And if they had some stuff they didn't want, well, maybe you'd get a tire for your vehicle, or But if
Yeah.
they're running short, why you was out of luck. You could ride a horse or walk, whatever you wanted to do. But I missed out on a lot of that because by that time I was in the army, see? And the war was basically over before I got out, but there was plenty of time for conflict while I was over in Japan and even in New Guinea, in the Philippines, as far as that goes.
Describe the Philippines. What was that like?
Well,
Would you go back?
no, I've never been back, but the people there were very, very nice. Like I say, that family that invited, they were Filipinos that invited us to come for supper. I mean, they didn't have have to do that. They just took a liking to 2 or 3 of us, and the 3 of us, I think, went, had supper with them, and sat around there, and like I say, drank that Bassa and Nipa wine a little bit too long, and that they didn't have to go home, the people that give it to us.
How were the Philippines compared to Hawaii? Was it similar?
Well, Hawaii is a lot prettier than the Philippines.
Right?
Yeah. Filipinos, they still use these oxen to plow a field with, and you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't see too much of that, but they did. I saw where rice was growing, and it grows in water, you know.
Right.
Clear up to
Under.
where it heads out, I think, something like that. But no, Hawaii, they've got plenty of money there and everything, but they don't have in the Philippines. That's the 2 differences that I noticed.
Okay, I want to ask you a couple of questions about this place,
Okay.
and you can be completely honest with us.
Uh-huh.
Okay. How do you like staying here?
I don't like what?
How do you like living and working, staying here at this place?
Well, they try
How do
to
they
treat you nice, as far
it
as I
good?
can tell. I don't have any complaint with it. It's a lot better than standing on the street corner and waiting for somebody to hand me something to eat.
Most people seem to say that. Most people we talk to like it here, get
Yeah,
well
but
taken care of.
It's a soldier's home, and if it's not nice, I don't know where you'd go to find it. But no, my brother and I checked it out before ever I came down here, and he said I don't know how he'd find anything any better. And he visits me once in a while. He still says you really got it made here compared to what some other people have.
Well, yeah. This is, I think, the biggest vet's home in the whole state.
Yeah. Not only the biggest, but now I think it's also one of the nicest.
Oh, I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
It gets well.
Maybe the nicest. The governor seems to favor this location, the way I
Yeah.
understand it.
Yeah. He's visited here. many
And we sent 2 governors to the pen, you know.
times.
And
I
somebody
know
said,
that.
"Well, you don't need to get the idea we don't have a governor's office just because they've all gone to the pen." Says we're still going to go ahead and have a governor.
We just sent Rob Blagojevich.
Yeah.
That was the last guy.
Blagojevich, yeah.
He just went a couple weeks ago, something like that. Who was it before that? It was I can't remember.
George
George Ryan.
George Ryan, yeah.
That's right.
George Ryan.
Did you ever get to meet either one of those guys?
Let's see, just vaguely saw George Ryan when I was over at Springfield about something else, and somebody said, "Well, that's your fellow that was your governor right there," and Blagojevich. They set him up for 14 years, I believe, in
is
the
that what it
pen,
was? I didn't.
and I have heard since that they're not even sure he's in the pen now. They said he had to go, but said right away he had a committee working on it to get his time reduced, and I thought, well, it'd be interesting to see what it's down to, but I imagine it'd be around 4 years is what I'd guess. And then that's not on hard duties. He was supposed to have to do hard labor, and it was really going to make an issue out of it, but he knew the right people or something.
I think he might know some. I don't know, but I'm guessing he probably.
Well,
knows.
I'm
He was
guessing
a
he knew
governor. He knew a lot of people.
I'm guessing he knew the right people because he got favored every step of the way. And like I say, I'm not even sure he's in now, but they said he was on his way. One day it showed him leaving his office, but he said he's still not out of the woods yet.
Well, I don't know what's going to happen to him. It was all over the news for a while. I was a little.
There won't be too much happen to him. There
No.
won't be too much happen. He knew too many people.
Yeah, I think you're right on that one.
I always knew the wrong people.
Wallace, we want to thank you.
You're sure welcome, all three
Thank
of
you,
you.
sir.
All three of you. You
This
bet
was
you
a
are.
very good interview.
You betcha. You too, Ray. You bet. You betcha.
This was a great interview to have them do for this. Now,
Well, I don't know what's going to come of it, but anyway, it won't
Well-
cost you nothing.
no, but there's one more thing I want you to do. You need to give me a rating. They didn't know I was going to do this. You need to give her a rating for her interview. Now you can give her an A or a B or a C. I don't want to go any lower than that, unless you want to go lower than a C. But an A, or if you go lower than a C, I get in trouble. See, because I got to go back with them, right? So
Well, I'll give all three of you an A. How that
A,
be?
that sounds like a good.
But I mean, I learned in college that D's and E's don't amount to too much.
Oh.
An F, you don't want too many of them.
No, E's don't count for anything. I know that. E for effort. They should have E for effort, I think.
You know, I got an F in college, I remember, on a course, and the teacher thought I was a copying. We was having an exam, and the teacher thought I was
That's
a
your
copying
cheat?
off of the guy next to me,
Okay.
and he gave me an F. And I wasn't copying off him. I might have glanced over there or something, but what I was putting on my sheet come out of my head, and I didn't get out of that, but
What
that's
did
the way it was.
What did you do about it? Did you?
Well, I just
tell the
suffered in
teacher?
silence.
Oh.
Took the course over again, and
They're not very silent these days. If they get an F, they usually say, "Why'd I get an F?"
that's true. That's true. But I had to go to college just a little bit longer. And my folks they thought I was going to get out in May. But instead of that, it was June or July or something.
Oh, okay.
I got out.
Well, you finally got out though.
Oh yeah, I got
Okay.
a diploma. Sure did. Yeah.
Well, we want to thank you one more time.
Yes, sir. You betcha.
We're
You're
going
welcome.
to
You're welcome.
wrap up everything and take it back to the.
What?
We're going to tear everything down and take it back and to the school.
Okay.
Now, we're going to make CDs.
You want what?